All right, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to the channel. So what we got is we've got this 1977 Eagle. What we're gonna do this morning is we're going to try and get it running. There's a couple things that I'm gonna do on this bus that I normally wouldn't do on some other ones. And one, I usually like to pull the valve covers and check injectors and things like that. I'm gonna have blocks and other things in place just in case the motor runs away. But the reason I'm not gonna do it is because there is so much black mold and mildew all in the rear part of this bus where I need to pull the floor up in order to pull the valve covers off, and it's not worth it to me to get back there and do all that stuff. The roof has been leaking so long on this bus that in the back of the bus, you could just see all the mold growth and everything on the interior. The interior of this bus is just done for. I would never want to even try to live in it or, restore it or work in there because it'll make you sick. That's how bad it is. But what we're gonna do is I'd like to pull this PowerTech generator out that's in this bay right here, and I'd love to see if we can get this motor started. Now I reached up there and the throttle linkage is free. Engine turns over. I kind of turned it over the other day to see if it was even worth making this video. If it was locked up, there'd be no point in trying to start it. We gotta pull the battery out. There's no keys, so we gotta hot wire the Joker. And we got to stick a battery in it and see if we can get it running. It might not run. It might not move. It might not do anything. If you're curious on how to run the rack, make sure the injectors aren't froze. It is very important that you do that on a two-stroke diesel. It'd probably be better for us to just pull this engine out. Even pulling the engine out would be difficult without getting into the interior of the bus. It is something we could still do, but you would have to have some sort of respirator. But anyway, if it's something that you want to learn how to do, look up Scott. His channel is Bus Grease Monkey. He has showed that several times. We'll link it in the description, a good video on how to run the rack and make sure that the injectors aren't stopped up. The key thing that I can remind you to do, if you are gonna attempt this, yourself, pull the covers off, make sure each injector is free. The biggest mistake that most people make is make sure you bar the engine over several revolutions, because you can check them, they're all freed, and then you turn the engine over several revolutions and then one injector will hang, and then you got a surprise. And we may have a surprise today. I'm just not willing to crawl in all that black mold and everything to pull the valve covers off. So we'll go spin it over and see. If she starts to run away, we'll have to block her off and shut her down, and then we'll have to pull the engine and kind of go from there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the battery out, we're gonna get some fire to it, we'll check the fluid, check the oil, check all that other stuff, and we'll see if we can get her running. First things first, we've got to pull this battery out, and she don't look the best. She's probably gonna fight us a little bit. We've got our handy dandy poker here. Our Milwaukee pry bar. It's actually a flathead screwdriver, but same thing. Every tool has its hammer side. Let's see if we can get it out so we can mess with it. This is going to be a vice grip battery terminal today. This battery's completely empty. Let's see. I have to get a cutter. Probably the best thing. Yeah. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to come in here with a cutter and cut those old bolts off, because they're not a ½ inch anymore, they're rotted. So we're gonna come in here and cut these off, and then we'll clean them up and see if we can slide a new battery in here, and then hopefully it won't catch on fire and burn to the ground. We'll find out. All right, we got the Cut-O-Matic 9000, not a sponsor. All right. All right. So now we should be able to wiggle, wiggle. Try and remember which one's which. Won't be too bad. All right, kids, remember, moving batteries around, left with your back, not with your knees. Ugh. Huh. Bus batteries, man. Some of the feather lights and stuff, that man, they got 16 of these batteries in them. And they're not here. They're here. Oh, exactly what we didn't want to do. That's funny though. That's all right. We can fix it. We got to get the Cut-O-Matic 9000 again. Saw her off. There we go. All right, who wants to take a guess? Is this 1 up, 2 up, 3 up, 4 up? Some rare battery cable from the Himalayas that nobody has. So I'll have to replace the whole thing. Do anyone want to take a guess? I reckon we probably should cut it back some. Let's go ahead and cut it back some. Let's see if we can see some of that good green copper. There you go. Look at that. Sorry, I got copper all over you guys. All right, let's see. And fix this battery. Ooh, look at that green. All right, so I asked everybody what they thought. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you guessed 4, pat yourself on the back. You were wrong. It's a 3. Open her up, and then we crimp her down. If I can. Remember, crimp with your knees, not with your back. Normally I would solder these on, but look at the bus. Let's be real. Why? We just want to hear a run. All right. Hopefully nothing crazy goes down when I hook the batteries up. Hopefully nothing will start spinning, any fires will happen, explosions. I mean, it'll probably make a good video. You know, who has the time for that kind of stuff today? Let's turn this a little bit this way. All right. No explosions. Woo! Maybe. I did hear a crackle. By the way, I don't know if you look at this, see how big that one is, how it fits over there. Somebody stuck 2 positives on here. Don't be that guy. There's a P and an N on top of the battery terminals. It's because most people don't realize that the negative terminal is technically a tad bit smaller than the positive terminal. Usually that guy that does that puts 2 positives on there, is the same guy that will put 8-penny nails. Like, you'll look at the battery terminal, there'll be nails all the way around the terminal, holding it together. All right. All right, that's good enough there. All right. This thing's, hopefully it won't scare the bejesus out of me. That's not doing much. I don't know if that's on or off. That should be on. This one's just stuck. So I'll check it. Be hard to find a good ground because all the body wants to be on the ground. Rusty, rusty, crusty. Yeah, she's gonna be hard to find a ground. Let's go to this terminal here. This is the main problem there. So I can see. We got fire now. So what we're gonna do now is this. We're gonna cut the fire back off. Okay, we're gonna cut the fire back off. This piece right here, I don't know if y'all can see it, right here. See this pipe right here? So this goes up to the top to pull air out. So this comes in and this is filtered. And if you look at it, it comes out of there and goes into the intake manifold right there. See the intake manifold right there? You see my screwdriver right there? So see this hose comes in? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pipe off, which already has a hole in it, if you can see that right there. But I'm gonna take this pipe off, and it's still gonna breathe filtered air because it has to go through this filter right here in order to get into the engine. But the reason I'm gonna take it off is because I'm gonna have a block off plate. Just in case this motor decides to run away, I can come back here and put the block off plate on it and shut it down. Like I said, normally I would go in there and check the rack, but if you can see, that intake's gotta come off, this has gotta come off. You've gotta get in there and get a bunch of stuff off, and they've got old mattresses and all kinds of stuff sitting over top of the floor to where this is. So with that being said, I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna just try and crank it up, and if she fires up and runs, great. If she doesn't, then, you know, we'll kind of go from there. We'll have to just pull this motor and work on it another day in the shop, because as bad as the mold is in there, I just can't get myself in there. You know, we'll take the radiator out and then we'll pull this engine out and crank it up in the shop. But we're gonna try and crank it right now. We got my handy dandy block off plate, just in case she runs away or gets crazy on us. We can cut her off. Turn her on. Whew. Now we got a problem there. Nah. Oh boy. Smoke coming out of the starter already. That's not good. That's no bueno there. Something's wrong there. It's not electrical. I can see the contact on the starters. They look really good, and I can look at my voltage drop. It's going all the way down, so we're getting good voltage. But the problem is, it seems like there may be an issue in the motor itself. It's either that or I know the shifter's in neutral, but I don't know about the actual transmission. The shifter could be rotted off. The only way to know that is to get access through the floor. Yep, well, unfortunately, it's looking like we're gonna have to pull this motor and either tear it down and figure out what's wrong with it and see if we can salvage any parts off of it, or we are going to repair it and crank it up on the shop floor. We're not gonna be able to do it in the bus. If it was an MCI or something like that, it would be a little different. You can get right to it. We can pull the valve cover off, we pull the head off, look at it where it's at, kind of sit there. But with the shape of the interior of this bus, like I said, I'm not willing to crawl through all that mess in there. And the wiring and everything is pretty rough on this, but that's not the problem. I can hear it's something in the motor is not turning over correctly. You can hear it. Yeah, see that spot right there. Yeah. Yeah, it's not, battery ain't dead. We got it, I'll show you. Like you can look, we'll look at it together. There you can see. See the battery voltage. We've got both batteries on there. We got good voltage. Battery's not dead. The problem is, like I said, you can hear it. You can hear it as I turn it. I've done enough of them to know that we're not going to be able to crank this one. But you know, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And this one is, we'll be able to get some good parts off of it for some people, but it's too far gone for, I don't even think it'll drive. For all we know, transmission's stuck in gear right now. Yeah. So, unfortunately, stay tuned, I guess, for part 2. Part 2, we will, we're gonna drag it back. I'll probably drag it back and put it back in that spot right there. We'll make a separate video on pulling this generator out and trying to get it running, and then we'll pull the engine out. We'll pull that 71 out on the cradle, or pull it out of that on that stand and everything, and then we'll see if we can get it fired up inside the shop. But we ain't gonna get it fired up today. I don't want to cause damage to the motor. If the motor's worth something, I don't want to cause damage to it. Somebody else out there can use it. So all right, I appreciate it. Stay tuned. I don't know when that video will come out. You'll just have to subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This is Future Brandon. I know I told you guys I was going to try and get that other Eagle cranked, the rust bucket. It didn't work out. I'm gonna have to pull that motor and crank it up on the floor. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's more work than it's what it's worth, but we will pull it out, and I'll probably bring you guys along to pull it out. But we have another Eagle sitting right here. So even though we couldn't get that one started, at least we'll get this one started. And this one was towed in, and I need to move it around. So I'll let you guys get your fix on seeing this one get started up. 71s in particular, they got dual exhaust on, but this one's 6V92. I thought this one was the 71 version, but no, this one's 6V92. She might start, I don't know. This is, will it start number 2? Are we gonna be 0-2 for Eagles? We'll find out. Gotta turn the go-go juice on. Low on some go-go juice. We got a few exhaust leaks. A little bit of smoke. A little bit of smoke. That's probably not good. Whatever that is, touch that up. we got one running. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the motor out of that other Eagle. We'll tear it down in the shop. We'll run it in the shop, make sure everything's good. Then that'll be a good engine for somebody if they want to rebuild it, use it, whatever. Wow, she's puffing smoke. We'll still do a buyer's guide. Well, we've got 2 Eagles here now, so out of the 2, we'll do a buyer's guide, so stay tuned for that. Unfortunately, the moldy Eagle, to answer the question of the video, can we rescue it? Nah. Can it help other buses? Yeah. That's pretty much unfortunately, that's what you get sometimes. All right, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.